Hi, welcome to ALOUD with Mary. I'm continuing to read A Different Perspective by Joshua Genz. This is installment number 4. Deus fell in and out of consciousness with only remembering that he was located in a dimly lit room, resting upon a hard surface and feeling horrific pain in his bicep and calf. He awoke to find himself inside a dark chamber with the healer sewing his wounds and humming a familiar melody. "Where am I?" the druid croaked. "You're in my home now, please don't move. I would hate to puncture a piece of skin that is healthy," answered Sapientus. "How long have I been out?" "Around the span of a week or so." The druid's eyes widened. What had happened to his home and the demon in his absence, he thought. He immediately started to sit up, to which Sapientus placed his hands on Deus's chest and pushed him onto the hard surface of which the rest of his body rested upon. "I need to go see and protect my home. Let me go," the druid demanded. "You're in no shape to go anywhere except into unconsciousness." Almost on cue, Deus felt himself slipping into another deep slumber. The druid awoke to only the sound of a few mice scuttling across the floor in search of their next meal. He instantly felt a sharp burning sensation in his bicep and his calf and decided to only risk moving his neck to get a better detail of his whereabouts. Across the room he could spot another man bleeding from the thigh, as it had been likely he was stabbed, from what the druid could decipher at his distance. He was asleep, as he would most likely be screaming if he was otherwise conscious. In the far left side of the room lay a man also perched upon a wooden table that clearly had been in some sort of combat, as there were stitches following across the part where his arm and torso met. Deus would have mistaken the man as a corpse, if not noticing the rise and fall of his chest, for his eyes were open, staring motionless at the ceiling. The two men were the only ones that shared the chamber with him, as far as he could tell from the limited amount of motion he would allow with his neck. After a few seconds of staring at the same scenery, Deus risked the extra range of motion and decided to sit up. To his astonishment, his biceps started to numb of pain, for there was not so much pressure applied to it. "I guess I'll allow you to sit instead of lay," lectured Sapientus behind him. Startled, Deus almost fell off his wooden table. Rushing to his aid, the priest added, Now, let's not get too excited." Sapientus helped Deus by steadying him on the awkward short table. "How long have I been here?" whispered Deus, not fully understanding why his voice had gone south. "A little over a fortnight," answered Sapientus in a very concerning voice. "The hellhound! What happened to it, and how am I alive?" "The beast escaped right after you lost touch with reality. It jumped over the tree line, and I have not seen it show its horrific face in these lands and there since. I went back to the clearing and retrieved your bardiche. The forest is exactly how you left it, and I placed your weapon upstairs. As for how you're still alive, I muttered a powerful spell that attacks any being of impure content, while the hound had you pinned, which sent the dog flying to the other side of the clearing, dazing it. Any more questions?" Deus looked at the priest with a stern glare. How could he trust this stranger? He decided to change the subject. "Well, I appreciate all that you have done for me, especially keeping me in one piece, but I must confess I have no form of payment for this kind of treatment." Almost like reciting a line in a play, Sapientus answered, "I don't charge for my work." He continued to change the rags applied to the druid's calf without meeting the confused glance that Deus offered. "How do you earn a living, then?" "The Lord provides," answered Sapientus quickly. The druid was puzzled. What did he mean by the Lord? Did he mean Zeus, the king of all gods, or another god that he was not familiar with, since he had never heard of Zeus being referred to as the Lord before? It was at that moment that Deus noticed the red streaks running across the healer's eyes. "When was the last time you had a rest, sir?" asked the concerned druid. The priest paused. He looked into the eyes of Deus and answered, "I don't remember." Deus grabbed Sapientus' arm and pulled him close to his face. "Healer, you need rest. Go lie down. We will be fine in your absence." His eyes and mouth spoke different, for his mouth answered, I'm fine. Don't worry. I can still heal if that's what you're worried about. I can't rest. I need to tend to my patients. However, his eyes spoke of a very different answer. His eyes widened and pupils dilated at the mention of rest. They shrunk after the words left the mouth, for they knew that they could not find retirement yet. Please find rest in your establishment, for I can see that you long for the chance of retirement. If anything goes amiss in your absence, I will call for you. To this, the healer's head slouched over. His arms fell to his sides. It seemed that the druid had read his mind. He looked at Deus, cracked a small grin, and went about the room, collecting as many rags as he could carry, and left the chamber. Thank you. Join me for installment number 5 of Joshua Genz's A Different Perspective.